taste as great as the finest wheat pasta from Italy. Bold statement. And so why am I using penne? Pasta in Italy is one of a kind, I'll tell you that. All right, so jovial, where is this thing from? I have no idea. Is it worth the money? Does it taste good? Does it hold up? Jovial. All right, welcome back to Dennis' Sustainable Kitchen. I'm Dennis, and today we're doing another one of those I taste, I eat plant-based, so you don't have to. Now, a lot of you liked the thing about the chickpea pasta or chickpea pasta, I don't even know, but it was an epic fail. And today I have jovial. I don't know, I tried them once before with their fusilli, and it was a pretty good pasta. So figured I'd give this one another shot, and it's made only with organic brown rice flour. Now, if you like whole wheat pasta, there's a starter. But here's the caveat. This one's actually gluten-free. So if you're hosting a party and they're gluten-free, you don't want them to feel singled out. This might be an option. So the thing with gluten-free pasta is, why does it taste like cardboard? Why does it fall apart? Or am I cooking it wrong? They're all valid points. I'm a big skeptic when it comes to gluten-free and plant-based and all of these things, right? So it's why I test these, because, you know, I like to take the perspective of somebody that perhaps is gluten-free or is plant-based, and products have come a long way. So if there's a product out there that can be able to tell much of the difference or at all, keep it in mind. But of course, there's products that don't meet the cut, just like our chickpea pasta or however it was called. So, you know, rather than go through all the boring stuff of the label, you know, it's green, it's eco-friendly. After all, my guess is you're here because you really want to know, is it worth the money? Does it taste good? Does it hold up? All of that. More than bore you with the details of where this farm or something is for. That's what AI is for these days. You can just prompt that real quick. All right, so again, this one says cooking time 12 minutes. With a lot of these alternative grain pastas, be skeptical on the time. You know, start with about 50% up to 75% of the recommended time and taste it, and you go from there. One thing that I also want to consider is that ever since I've switched over to an induction stove, I've had to adjust some cooking times because really high boil is significantly higher than if I was to use a gas stove or a radiant electric stove. Now here's the interesting part. I always look at the instructions, but take it with a grain of salt, because they put it, you know, on bold in here, cooking time 12 minutes so you don't miss it, and bring 3 quarts of water to a rolling boil. Okay, 3 quarts of water is 3/4 of a gallon. If I'm only going to cook, what's the serving size here? 2 ounces or 57 grams. Why am I going to use 3 quarts of water? So you have to look at the entire thing here. That 12 minutes is tailored to that recipe they have there when you use it to 40 grams of the pasta. So I'm not going to use the 3/4 or 3 quarts of water. I'm using roughly a liter. I would say 1.25 liters. Again, I'm not seasoning it or anything like that. I'm just going to test it out. I'm going to do 2 batches. So 1 batch just to test out and another batch to reheat and see if it holds up. So it says 57 grams. So why am I using penne? Right? So penne is that universal pasta, that multi-use one that most people are familiar with. If you like wheat pasta, it looks fairly similar. And here is the 57 grams. So this is 2 ounces. I don't know about you, but this ain't gonna cut it for me. So to be frank, if I was making just an eyeballed lunch for myself, probably something like that, maybe a little more, right? So if I fill this to the top, 125 grams, I've already like 2.5 portions. So if we go with that, hitting 3 portions of pasta, 3 servings of pasta for this. So our water is just about ready to go. I don't know if you can see it. It's boiling like ridiculous to the point where it's a little scary actually. So I'm going to turn it down and you got yourself a rolling boil. That's only at a medium for me. So again, give it a quick stir. And timer, I'm going to go right now with 7 minutes, which this thing said 12. So yeah, 7 minutes to start. Now, last time I said a rule of thumb, roughly dry pasta expands about 2 times. So I guess we can test that out with this one and go from there. So let me go ahead and weigh out another one. So we can do a second batch. We'll cool this one down, and as this one cools, we'll cook the other one. So 57 grams, there we go. So one thing I noticed when I did the fusilli, because of their shape, they cook sometimes a little bit unevenly. Hence why it's kind of that go-to. It's pretty even. And I think that's the one that most are familiar with. It's either that or like spaghetti or fettuccine. And so what I've noticed, though, with plant-based pastas is the more, how should I say it, unique or specialized the cut or shape, the more fragile they are. Person that's in the kitchen that set it and forget it, or I forgot, this is probably your best bet. And again, with plant-based pastas, I think I mentioned before, is that they're very temperamental, sensitive to time. So it'll be good to see how this does. Of course, we already have our strainer, rinse it, allow it to cool, and then while that cools, we'll do another batch of water. Gives us a little bit of time, and we'll cook it. We'll taste it right out of the water, and I'll test it after that to reheat it a little bit, maybe with just some olive oil or something. Especially since I think most of us here are concerned about, does the pasta hold up? Not necessarily what sauce or thing to use it for. So in Spanish, there we have the recalentado, which recalentar means to reheat. And so you think of recalentado, we're talking about making leftovers taste better the next day. And yes, leftovers do taste better the next day. So with pasta, if you prep it ahead of time, cool it, it's a lot easier to finish it off the next day with a nice sauce. Pero una de las cosas is that a lot of the plant-based pastas, gluten-free or legume pastas, se les deshace, like it breaks and melts, or it becomes masa, like dry masa. And that is one of the downsides of it. So to reheat it, if you are going to plan to use it the next day, my rule of thumb is undercook it, like cook it como 3/4, like about 3/4 of the way there, and cool it. That way when you reheat it, you're cooking it all the way through. And also be gentle with the reheating process. Don't just throw it in high heat, porque entonces sí, like you're just gonna, cook it. So give that a shot. I don't recommend the microwave because I don't own a microwave, and that's my choice. So, and if you're gonna use it for a cold pasta salad the next day, then yeah, go with about 90% of the way there, leave it a little bit al dente, just let it cool. And when you toss it all together, all right, here we go, our 7 minutes. And so when you toss it all together, toss all the salad components first, and then fold in the pasta. So you're a little bit more gentler. And at 7 minutes, it's almost there. So I'm going to do about 2 more minutes. So I'm guesstimating roughly around 9 to 10 minutes for this one. So yeah, so when you're using delicate pasta like that, the best thing to do is grab all your components first, dress them, toss them, mix them, and then fold in your pasta at the end. So you're putting the most delicate thing, which tends to be the legume pastas, fold it in at the end. And hopefully that prevents it from falling apart and turning it into masa or mush or whatever else you might find. So at first glance, this doesn't have much difference than a whole wheat pasta. Texture was there so far, and it's holding up, and it wasn't mushy, it wasn't even sticky. And that, I think when the last one I talked about with the garbanzo pasta, it was sticky. I'm going to stop it there. So again, I'm going to test it out as right now 10 minutes for the next batch. So now that we rinsed that off, let it cool down, and I'll use that as the reheat batch, and we'll start over with the water. And for this next batch, again with the 57, I'm going to do 10 straight minutes and see where it is. So what's good about this? Going back to the ingredients, it's just organic brown rice flour. So If you like brown rice, I think you're gonna love this product. So far, it's on my good graces. The fact that it's gluten-free, the fact that it says it's just like the Italian whole wheat pasta from Italy. That's a bold statement. Italy makes some amazing pasta. So, but what else? It's small farms, all of that. You look past the marketing, green, the gluten-free. You know, of course, there's all the certified organic, non-GMO, residue-free, gluten-free. So if it's not certified gluten-free, it's not gluten-free. So make sure that there's always that certification. So comparing it to the chickpea pasta before, one thing is you're going to get less protein on this one. All right, this is only 5 grams. I think the other one, I believe, don't quote me on it, but I believe it was 12, 13 grams per serving. So you're only getting about half. You are still getting, your fiber, 7%. It is a little bit higher in carbs. But so far, I think it's a good alternative, especially if you are looking for a gluten-free option. I have tried gluten-free pastas that are basura, unfortunately. All right, so there's our rolling boil again. And so this time, we're going to do the 10 minutes, get that started. So 10-minute timer. And so this is essentially 2 portions according to this. So probably going to get about 3 servings out of this box, if you're just going to use pasta. Now, if you're going to make it into a salad or bulk it up with vegetables or sauce, then you can extend it. Then I think it'll be worth it. But I don't know. I'm trying to remember how much I paid for this. It was like $8 or $9. You know, that is quite a bit for pasta. But if you're gluten-free, if you have a gluten intolerance, then this also could be a good option. Okay, so our pasta now feels cold. So let's see here. So I did eat 2 of the little things. So, we started with 57 grams. Now we have 100. So if I take one out, 3 grams, 106 grams for 57 grams of dry pasta. Ended up with 106 grams of cooked pasta, which is roughly almost twice, right? Twice would be 114, so close enough. And again, so I'm going to let that go for the 10 minutes. With this cold pasta here, it's not sticky. You can see still the grooves. It's not sticky. It's holding up on its own. And when you taste it, it tastes like just unsalted brown rice. So if you like brown rice, this is going to be a very good option. Now, if you're a person that always eats refined flour pasta, yes, you're going to notice a difference. That's a given, right? So, if you're trying to clean that up, like meaning you're trying to move away from that, take a sustainable approach. Maybe you do 3/4 of white pasta and add 1/4 of this. Not to mention, that's a good way to save some money, but additional nutrients into your diet and go from there. Small changes over time make a big impact. So one of the things that, I talk about being in a sustainable kitchen, sustainable diet, is the word diet really has this connotation of losing weight and all of this. Diet really is just what you consume. So you want a sustainable diet, you want to make changes that are lasting for quite some time, not drastic ones. Drastic ones are the ones where you go into these fad diets and then, to me, your body goes into shock or resents it, and then you give up on it in a couple of weeks because you feel miserable. So smaller changes, you're not going to notice as much of that misery. That's how it's been from my experience in that aspect. So I will say season your water, right? Because this one you can definitely tell it's not seasoned. Add 1% of your water weight. So for every liter, about 1 gram of salt, which is about 1/4 teaspoon, something like that. I would be skeptical on the 12 minutes. And if we look at it, this is a rolling boil already. If I went completely high, here we go. That is high. And look, it's going to overboil. Here, I'm only using 50% of the heat. And it's slightly a little bit higher than probably I would go, but it is a rolling boil. So keep an eye on your pot, because if you do really high, you're going to overboil it and you're going to get a mess. And also with legume pastas, when you boil it really hard, you're agitating the pasta that much more, so you're gonna have a bigger opportunity to breaks. That's done. 10 minutes if you want it like al dente. 10 minutes, still have that bite. If you go to 12, you might end up with that masa. So far, this one's a pass in the sense that I'd recommend this and buy it if I have a gluten-free or gluten intolerance, or if you're just looking for a gluten-free alternative that's gonna hold up. This is a good option for you. So the moment of truth, we'll just do a little bit of lemon, some Parmesan cheese, olive oil. Now again, you want to reheat this really slow. This way we can say that it's still cooking, right? I would go even a little bit gentler than that, but I think what this helps is to see how it holds up, right? I mean, if I'm agitating this a lot and it's not breaking, and you can hear it's all the water's gone. Dab of cheese, maybe a little too much, but it's supposed to be a dab of cheese, but it didn't fall apart. All right, moment of truth. Yeah, you got a winner. You definitely got a winner. It's still spongy. It's not even sticky. Honestly, if you were to pair this up next to a wheat pasta, I don't think you could tell much of the difference. You know, if that's something you guys want me to test out sometime, leave me a comment. And next time I get some whole wheat pasta. Thanks for joining me here on Dennis Sustainable Kitchen. Like, subscribe, share this, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care. Just need some hot sauce. And out, watch them. Right.